Once upon a time, there was a poor waiter serving the king a double deluxe bacon cheeseburger and a nice cold Coca-Cola.
The waiter set the Coke in front of the king and held up a straw.
Would you care for a straw, Mr. Highness, sir?
Of course I want a straw. Do you expect me to tip my royal beverage every time I need to slake my thirst? I might pull a majestic muscle. Only peasants tip their beverages.
Upon hearing the king say tip, the waiter had an idea.
You see, the lazy king had a reputation for being a very stingy tipper. The waiter hoped that if he got the king's attention, it would lead to a large tip after he finished his burger.
The waiter slid the straw into the king's Coke and smiled.
I hate to brag, Mr. Highness, sir, but my daughter Rose is my brain. You can turn plastic straws into gold.
Gold?
Oh yes, your most excellent lordshipness. It's quite a talent. I hand Rose a plastic straw at night. Poof! By morning, she changed it into gold.
The king's dark beady eyes twinkled with greed.
I must witness this myself.
The king shoved the whole double deluxe bacon cheeseburger into his mouth, then guzzled his ice-cold Coke in one swallow.
He was so excited he forgot to use his straw. He also forgot to leave the poor waiter a tip.
The next morning, the king summoned Rose to the castle.
My dear Rose, I've heard so much about you.
You have?
Of course, my dear. Your wonderful father, waiter, what's his face, told me all about your special abilities.
So you know I've memorized the entire Dewey Decimal System?
Ha! I see you're a jokester. But let's leave the humor to the court jester. You have more important work to do.
Curious but confused, Rose followed the king through the castle until he shoved her into a room filled with boxes of plastic straws.
Here you go, dear Rose. 100,000 straws. If you turn them all into gold like your father said you could, you can have a chilled can of Coke in the morning. If not, well, I'll have to give you a severe punishment.
But my king, I'm only a librarian.
Have a nice night.
Boom, blit, blit. The king slammed the room's thick wooden door and snapped the heavy lock into place.
Rose slumped onto the room's cold stone floor and wept.
What was Daddy thinking? I'm a librarian. I can't turn straws into gold.
Poof! A little man in a tunic appeared in the middle of the room.
Everything about the little man was pointy. His nose, his ears, his beard, even his knees and eyebrows.
Ho, my lady. Why are you crying? Apparently, my father told the king I could turn straws into gold. Now the king has given me until morning to do it. If I don't, he's going to punish me. Straws into gold, easy peasy. Are you kidding? If I could do that, do you think I'd have spent 8 years memorizing the entire Dewey Decimal System? Well, I can turn the straws into gold, but you have to pay me. How about this?
Rose unclasped a thin silver locket that had been her mother's.
Deal!
The little man shoved the locket deep into a pocket of his tunic.
Then he started waving 2 straws around like magic wands. He pumped his pointy knees up and down like a blacksmith's billows.
And he twisted and twirled in slow, looping circles, his eyes crossed, his head lolling like a dead fish.
Take a sip, grip, make a move, that's bold. Straws go up the nose, son, they're gold.
Without warning, the little man plunged a straw into each nostril.
Both plastic straws transformed into solid gold. Rose watched in stunned silence as the little man kept dancing and chanting and shoving straws up his nostrils all night long.
Until it was nearly morning, and
The last 2 straws are finally turned to gold.
I can't believe you did it.
I told you I would. Thanks for the locket. Without another word, the little man smiled, bowed, and disappeared, just as the king swung the door open.
Whoa! Gold straws!
Yes, my king. May I go home now?
My dear Rose, home is so overrated. Here's a chilled can of Coke. Now, come with me. I have another surprise.
The king led Rose to a room that was twice as large.
200,000 straws. This time, I'll give you a chilled Coke in a glass bottle. Everyone knows Coke tastes best from a glass bottle. Of course, if you don't change the straws into gold, severe punishment. See you in the morning.
Boom,
Click, click.
The door slammed shut, the lock clicked into place, and Rose stood alone in a large room with 200,000 straws.
It only took a single tear rolling down her cheek before...
Poof.
Hello again, my lady. Why are you crying?
It's the king. This time I need 200,000 plastic straws turned into gold.
Easy peasy chicken squeezy. What will you pay me?
Rose pulled off a silver ring that had been her grandmother's.
How about this?
Deal!
The little man jammed the ring deep into the pocket of his tunic, grabbed 2 straws from a box, and started his chant.
By the next morning, the little man had poofed away, and...
Woohoo! More gold!
The king handed Rose a glass bottle of Coke.
Now, dear Rose, wait until you see what I have for you next. 1,000,000 straws!
But my king,
This time, if you turn them all into gold, I'll make you my queen. Happy gold making!
Boom,
Click,
click.
click. You probably know what happened next. Rose cried. The little man reappeared. Then he asked what Rose would pay. But
I gave you my mother's locket. I gave you my grandmother's ring. I don't have anything left.
Fortunately, I have a different payment plan. I'll turn the straws into gold. Then, after you marry the king and have a baby, someday you'll give the baby to me.
But
Deal!
And once again, you probably know what happened next. The little man turned all 1,000,000 straws into gold, the king married Rose, and within a year a baby prince was born. Then...
I'm back!
no, please don't take my baby. I'll give you all the gold in the kingdom. Just don't take my little boy.
I can make gold, remember? But I like to be fair. Tomorrow morning, I'll give you 3 guesses to figure out my name. If you get it right, you can keep your baby.
And then the little man disappeared.
Feeling like she was stuck in a horrible fairy tale, Rose did the only thing she could think of. She grabbed a book of fairy tales and searched for strange names.
After reading fairy tales all night long, Rose finally had 3 names on her list. She was confident one of them must be right. So in the morning...
Hello, my queen. Do you know my name?
Hansel?
Nope.
The Frog Prince?
Wrong again.
Rose smiled, confident in her final guess. After all, she'd gotten a name from a fairy tale nearly identical to her own life. She pointed at the little man.
Rumplestiltskin.
The little man gasped.
How did you know my uncle's name?
Your uncle?
Of course, but we look nothing alike. His ears are much pointier.
But I thought...
My name is Bob. Sorry, too bad you used all 3 guesses. I'll take my baby now.
That morning, the little man scooped the baby prince from the royal cradle and
Poof.
the little man and the prince were never seen again.
Fortunately, Bob was actually a very nice man, and he made an excellent father. He and the baby lived happily ever after.
And even though Rose was sad, if the baby had grown up in the castle, he'd probably have turned out cruel and greedy, just like his real father, the king.
So I guess it's a good thing the little man's name was
Not
Rumplestiltskin.
Rumplestiltskin.